Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today I'm going to be talking about how change comes over time. I have a special episode to share with you today because this week marks 3 years since I started Be the Change podcast. 3 years ago, on June 1st, I finished up my workday at Congressman Joe Negus's office in Washington, D.C., and took off running down Independence Avenue until I reached the Black Lives Matter protest at Lafayette Square Park. I pulled out my phone, which was only on 7%, and began to record the protest unfolding before me. I spent the next 7 hours at the protest, at one point being tear gassed and fired on by police with rubber bullets. After I got back to my apartment at 1 a.m., I decided to record my experience on my phone as an audio note. The next day, on June 2nd, 2020, I published that note as the first episode in what is now Be the Change podcast. Now, 3 years later, I published over 150 episodes featuring over 150 guests who are making change in their communities and countries around the world. This podcast would not be possible without those guests who have shared their stories with me over the years, and I wanted to use this 3-year anniversary episode to celebrate some of the guests that have been featured. This episode features some of my favorite and most memorable guests, and I've asked each of them to tell me about how they are being the change they wish to see in the world. So, without further ado, let's get started with this special episode of Be the Change podcast.
Hi, my name is Sophie Barron, and I am the founder and CEO of The Conversationalist. We are a nonpartisan platform empowering our generation to break outside of our echo chambers, have difficult conversations, and unify the world. I am being the change I hope to see in the world by encouraging young people everywhere to break open their bubbles. When we open our echo chambers and when we interact with people who have different backgrounds and different lived experiences than we do, we open ourselves up to new perspectives, new ways of thinking that allow us to come a little bit closer together with people who are different than us. And I truly believe that our generation can be the one that unifies the world. And by having these conversations, by listening and fostering empathy and understanding, we can try to come back to sit at the same table. And when we're seated around that same table, we can truly create change. I believe that it all starts with one conversation, and I can't wait to see how we continue to unify Gen Z together.
Hello, my name is Khalil Green. I'm also known as the Gen Z historian across social media, and I make content about American history, politics, and culture with the goal of promoting racial and social justice amongst young people. I am being the change I wish to see in the world through my work online, specifically by creating educational videos that teach the masses, specifically Gen Zers, about history from a radical perspective that challenges some of the notions and ideas that we learn in our American history classes and lands upon a more truthful yet somber understanding of United States history. All of this is done, though, with the goal of making change and igniting the passion amongst citizens to correct some of the issues in our nation's past. And I want to see more of this by seeing people educate themselves and use knowledge as a tool towards liberation for different people, especially marginalized people in the United States of America.
Hi, this is Francesca Reicheter. I am the founder and president of Inspiring My Generation. I am an author, keynote speaker, and psych student. I am being the change I wish to see in the world by utilizing my voice to speak on behalf of those who've lost their voices, whether it's to suicide or they're just barely hanging on and no one can hear them. I'm also not only using my voice, but creating a platform to amplify the voices of other people. I believe change can only happen when we talk about it, when we talk about what's going on, what we need to change, and we work together to come up with solutions. So I am not only using my voice to be part of the conversation, but my platform to create a conversation where everyone's voice around the world gets to be heard so that we can make the changes we need to move forward with a better system for mental health.
My name is Paxton Smith. I'm an abortion rights activist and musician from Dallas, Texas. I first got my start in abortion rights activism following my viral valedictorian speech, where I called out the Texas legislature for passing its 6-week abortion ban back in 2021. I am being the change today by continuing to raise awareness and share information on the state of abortion rights in the country, as well as working with the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project to raise money so that people can afford abortion care across the country.
My name is Dino Maya Sagame. I'm a Rhodes Scholar, currently doing a DPhil in biomedical engineering at the University of Oxford. I'm a poet and an activist, using different platforms to raise awareness for accessibility in different spheres. I'm the founder of Blackout Africa, an organization that is making education accessible to all in Africa. I'm being the change I wish to see in the world by advocating for accessible and equitable education in Africa. Through my platform Blackout Africa, we share international scholarship opportunities with African youth who wish to pursue higher education. We also provide financial aid to motivated high school students in Botswana through the established Blackout Scholarship. The scholarship has been running for 2 years in Moloporiba CJSS, supporting 10 students each year. I'm also being the change by advocating for good mental health practices, including in education, using my experiences as a survivor of bipolar disorder to destigmatize mental health illnesses.
Hi there, my name is Isaias Hernandez. I am an environmental educator and the content creator of Queer Brown Vegan. My work seeks to amplify and accelerate the discourse around climate education by using digital media and storytelling as a way to empower both younger generations and older generations. And I think that I am being the change by being a hope keeper, a knowledge keeper in the movement. One thing that I really love to use in digital media storytelling is actually being able to work with intergenerational leaders, such as grassroots activists, academic scholars, and sometimes young activists, to ensure that their oral histories and their work is being recognized. And I think the important thing about this is that an environmental education is seen as a very politicized and very controversial issue in today's educational systems due to the rise of inequities in our government. And so I really see it as a way, as an educator and as a scholar activist, to be able to present forms of environmental education that exist outside institutions and to ensure that this type of knowledge is being talked about in a way that actually ensures the safety and the future livelihood of all cultures.
Hi, my name is Angeles Pompa, and I'm currently working as a legislative aide for the Illinois Republican Senate. I'm based out of Springfield, which is the capital for Illinois, and my job mostly consists of helping senators in whatever they may need. That may range from helping with constituent concerns, making sure they're meeting with the right people to either pass or not pass legislation, and making sure they are where they need to be while they are here. I am being the change that I wish to see in the world by making sure that our system is working quickly and efficiently for our constituents that the senators represent. Not only do constituents' concerns matter, but also the fact that I am representing as being the only Hispanic/Latina here with the Republican Senate. It's given me not only the opportunity to represent my people, but also to be able to show others my age that you can make it no matter your background and without giving up your values. Overall, people need a voice at the table, and if I can either be that voice through representation or help bring others to the table, that is the change that I wish to see.
Hello, I'm Natalie Magnus, and I'm a second-year human sciences student at University College London. I'm Malaysian, but I grew up in Qatar and am now living in London for university. I'm the founder of Qatar Youth Power, the country's first and only student-initiated conference to empower young people for positive change through connecting the youth of Qatar with the leaders and change makers of the country in various industries, areas, and issues. I am being the change I wish to see in the world by creating a local impact in my community and passing forward the chain reaction of empowerment and leadership onto others in the hopes that they too will continue to pay it forward. Having attended and been part of various empowerment programs, events, and opportunities, I know the transformative impact being part of these things can have on someone. Thus, I strove to create something like this for myself and my community. And so I hope that those impacted by what I've done will continue to do this in the communities they are part of and carry this chain reaction forward.
Hiya, my name is Ellis Lloyd-Jones. I am a content creator on TikTok, and I mostly create content in regards to being Welsh, queer, and just funny content, relatable content, really. I am being the change I wish to see by just being my true, authentic self and just presenting myself as how I am every day, basically. I remember, years ago, I would always try to, be this person that everyone wanted to see or be this person that fitted in with everyone. But now I'm just no, everyone can take me as I am. I am a queer person who grew up in the valleys, who speaks Welsh every day and wants everyone to know that it's fine to be a queer person, a queer Welsh person who speaks Welsh. There's a place for people like me in our society and in our culture, etc.
Hello everyone, my name is Idea Albaira and I am the founder and CEO of Based in Science, a non-profit officially registered as a company limited by guarantee in the UK that works to help students from the UK, US and the Balkans into STEAM-related careers, that is science, technology, engineering, arts and maths. And I have achieved this through the creation of the non-profit Based in Science. And that links on very well to why I think I am the change I wish to see in this world. And that is because I've managed to create a community of like-minded students and to help accelerate the rate of STEAM careers through positive creation of environments, various events, various workshops, but also opportunities. And at any point in the creation of any of these resources and events, I have always looked for feedback, and that is the most important thing. Understanding that you can never do everything by yourself and that you are not always perfect, even to those perfectionists.
Hi, my name is Sophie Sandberg. I'm the founder of Cat Calls of NYC and Chalk Back. Cat Calls of NYC is an initiative that raises awareness about street harassment using colorful chalk. We write the word-for-word phrases of harassment on the streets where they happen to raise awareness and share people's stories and educate people about harassment. Chalk Back was inspired by Cat Calls of NYC. It's a global movement of now more than 1,000 activists on 6 continents around the world, raising awareness about harassment through chalk art and social media. And being the change I wish to see by advocating for safer streets and communities in New York City and around the world, and advocating for an end to gender-based street harassment and all forms of gender-based violence.
Hello, my name is Marla Baines, and I am a climate activist, student, and poet. And I am being the change by asking myself every day, how can I be a kind human being? Primarily, my work has relied around the climate justice movement, and most recently, and what I'm going to be studying at school, is psychology. Truly asking the question, how can I help people heal their connection to themselves with the support of creating community and creating connection to the earth? Remember, every single day gives each and every one of us an opportunity to create change. And it literally starts by taking a deep breath in a moment of stress. It's acknowledging and giving ourselves a moment of forgiveness. It's hanging out with your friends. Connection to one's feelings and the earth around each and every one of us is powerful. It's where our power is going to rely for us to create a better, more just, equitable, and sustainable and loving world. And it's also an opportunity for us to also close our own stress cycles. So remember, each and every one of us is the change, and I'm going to continue to keep changing the world through my art, my poetry, activism, leadership, academic pursuits, and everything else in between. I truly believe that's what it is to be an activist, is to take every opportunity and moment to ask ourselves how we can do better. What are we doing better? Okay, that's it for now. Big loves.
My name is Alian Khan, and I am an incoming Masters of International Business student and a former category manager at Microsoft. I was also the founder of the Positivity Project and a board member of We Charity here in Canada. I am being the change by being gracious and kind to everyone I meet and ensuring that I am doing my part to help bring people's ideas to life.
Hello, my name is Bianca Hales. I go by she, her, hers pronouns, and I am a re-entry associate at a nonprofit law firm in New York City, and I am the proud founder of the Hidden Youth Campaign, a campaign that raises awareness of the often unseen and unheard population of disabled youth that are caught into the juvenile justice system. I am being the change that I wish to see in the world daily through the work that I do as a re-entry associate by helping those that have been impacted by the juvenile justice system and also the criminal justice system reach their highest potential upon release and also reintegration back into society. And also through the awareness through my campaign about the unique disadvantages and struggles that many youth face that are entering into the criminal justice system. I hope to continue this advocacy in a political sense, a social sense, and an economic sense as an aspiring attorney.
Hi everyone, my name is Haley Rogers. I am the president of Step Above Stigma, a Canadian registered charity dedicated to empowering youth and young adults to step above the stigmas that say they are unworthy. I am being the change by empowering youth and young adults to see that their mental health stories are a catalyst for change in their own lives and the rest of the world. I'm doing this by developing chapters in various schools across Canada that allow youth to be leaders in their communities and access support from one another. I've also developed custom mental health workshops, which is part of our Empowerment Labs program, that address various challenges including financial literacy, burnout, and self-esteem. I also create content on our social media page at Step Above Stigma on Instagram that supports various mental health struggles. We also host empowering events where the community can come together and share their own mental health stories and connect with one another. At Step Above Stigma, we believe everyone can be the change in their own lives and the rest of the world.
Hi everyone, my name is Alicia. I'm 18 years old and I am in my last year of high school. I'm going to university next year, and my activism really, revolves around a lot of different things. I know that when I was on the podcast, I spoke about my activism within the social sector, so writing articles, making blog posts, and, talking about my opinions in the media. And how I'm being the change I wish to see is really by taking on new tasks. I recently joined a National Bilingual Council where we try to promote bilingualism. I also hosted an event for Plan International Canada, which encompassed many issues, including the social justice ones and, a lot of international ones and inequities within different sectors, such as language barriers, barriers for immigrants, all these different issues. So I think that really the way that I'm trying to be the change is through returning to what I'm doing and to continue growing. Because even if you do the same thing every single year, I think you can still improve if you try to put more quality in and if you try to really refine that, as opposed to doing one thing for a year and then leaving it. So I really think the secret is to not lose hope and to just continue doing what you're doing. Don't think too much about how it's going to make a change, because whatever you do, it will always make a change.
Hello, my name is Ransom Fox, and I am one of the clerks for the Natural Resources Committee in the House of Representatives. My work in Congress focuses on indigenous and territorial policy, affairs, and communications. I am being the change by working with our indigenous and territorial communities and my congressional and executive counterparts to work towards pragmatic and productive policy for these communities.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Joseph, and I'm the founder and co-executive of Women in Politics, a 501c3 dedicated to making politics a more tangible career path for young girls. A lot of my work is centered around education accessibility and politics, and over the past couple of months, I've made some exciting progress. With Women in Politics, we just incorporated as a 501c3 back in March, so I'm very excited for the educational events we can begin to host with our book, Little Lawmakers. Additionally, over the past year, I've been able to get some hands-on public policy work with my local city and school district.
Hi everyone, I'm Rohani Walia. I'm absolutely honored to be on this episode celebrating this fantastic podcast. A short while ago, I was on here speaking about the work I was doing with some folks on an organization we started called Ending Maternal Mortality. Our work was focused on developing a sustainable and effective framework to deliver a solution to maternal mortality in Nigeria, where women, unfortunately, experience some of the highest rates of postpartum hemorrhaging or excessive bleeding. Our team was working with a local NGO and the municipal government to help save lives needlessly being lost. I am being the change I wish to see by undertaking research projects that connect economic thinking and analysis to real-world social issues, with a focus on how they might be mitigated using some of the world's most exciting technologies. I've spent the better part of the last year working with professors I really admire at places like Stanford, USC, and the University of Toronto to learn more about data science and applying it to issues that matter to me. This summer, I'm looking to contextualize some of the technical skills I've learned by staying in a rural village in Fiji, volunteering, and experiencing a way of life quite different from mine. All of that's to say is I'm bettering my ability to identify the economic reasoning behind inequities that exist in the world.
Hi y'all, my name is Seika Brown. I am a global mental health researcher and advocate and CEO of Wild G Research, where we aim to discover how mental health is defined across cultures and backgrounds. I began working in mental health at the age of 15 when I founded a nonprofit focused on mental health policy. I ended up passing one bill in 2019. And ever since then, I've been working with global institutions, local grassroots organizations, and a multitude of people to just raise awareness around mental health and provide education for people. And I'm being the change I wish to see in the world by going into conversations with the intent to listen rather than to teach. I think when we begin to realize that we can learn something from every person we meet, we start to see how even the simplest of relationships can change and shape the world around us. And so I encourage us all to do the same.
Hi, my name is Austin White. I am being the change I wish to see in the world by advocating for human-centered technology on social media platforms and within big corporations, as well as lobbying lawmakers in the United States to pass gun violence prevention legislation. First, I am really passionate about human-centered technology due to the ramifications and intersections with so many different fields across our country. Whether it's criminal justice reform or immigration, having human-centered and ethical technology is very important to me to ensure that we are being protected in our digital workspaces. In addition to this, I've grown up in a generation that's desensitized and we've normalized mass shootings and gun violence. It is very important to me that future generations do not have to deal with this problem and that they're able to stay in their educational learning spaces with safety and they can focus on what's truly important. I'm being the change in the world that I wish to see by calling out my lawmakers as well as educating those around me on the issues that are important to our society today.
Thank you to all of the guests featured in this episode and to all of the other past and future guests of Be the Change podcast. I am so grateful that you've allowed me to amplify your voices and share your stories on my platform. After listening to all of those guests and their stories, I would also like to thank the listeners of this podcast as well. Thank you for continuing to listen and support the podcast over the years, and especially thank you to those who have been listening since that first episode on June 2nd, 2020. This podcast has changed a lot since then, and if there's one thing I've learned over the last 3 years developing and growing this podcast that I hope to share, it's that change comes over time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to listen to any of the episodes featuring the guests in this episode, I linked each of their episodes in the episode description. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at bethechangepodcast. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.